video, I am super excited to see the storm that, oh, gotta keep this politically correct, the poop storm that the comment section is about to become from this video. Speaking of poop storms. Don't want to go in there. Now this topic has to be one of the most controversial things in the entire truck world. I mean, it's not quite Ford and Chevy competition level, but it is definitely up there. And it's crazy how one-sided and opinionated each side is, but I think we're gonna either open your eyes today, you're gonna tell me I'm crazy, or who knows what's gonna happen. And you're probably assuming that you know exactly how I feel on this topic, and well, let's just put it this way. Assuming means it's weird. Nobody ever rings the doorbell. Uh-oh. Ooh. I like getting packages, even though this one's actually really heavy. I believe I know exactly what that is, but we'll get to that package at the end of this video. So let's get back to the topic at hand. Step out into my office, AKA office number 2, garage, every man's office, really. So obviously from the title of this video, you know exactly what we're gonna talk about today. Is it okay to lift a 2-wheel drive truck? And let's kind of dive into that and break that down. Now, obviously, as you guys know, I own a lifted truck. It is, of course, 4-wheel drive. I've owned 3 lifted trucks, all of which have been 4-wheel drive. That being said, I've owned 3 other trucks that were all 2-wheel drive, none of which were lifted. Now, in case you're wondering, the reason I didn't lift any of my 2-wheel drive trucks is, number one, I bought all of them as old Ford work trucks, and that's kind of what I intended them to stay as. So for, you know, a multitude of reasons, I just didn't lift them. They were old beaters. They were kind of, you know, they had a few years left in them, but it wasn't worth throwing a ton of money at it. And to be quite honest with you, the ease of lifting some of these old trucks, there's not an off-the-shelf kit for it. So obviously I shied away from it. I mean, especially with my old 7.3 here, as you guys know, we've talked about lifting this thing a million times, but of course it is only 2-wheel drive, and they do not make an off-the-shelf 2-wheel drive lift kit for this truck. So in all actuality, the reason that truck's not lifted is just because there's not a readily available kit for it. Otherwise, you know, I'd throw a couple grand at lifting that truck. It wouldn't be a big issue to me. I don't ever plan on off-roading it. And speaking of, let's kind of go to the origin of why trucks were lifted. There may be a few different theories or a few different ideas as to why people lift trucks, but for the majority of people, it is to gain better ground clearance, to allow clearance for bigger tires for off-roading or for work on the farm, or, you know, if you live in a flood zone or that kind of thing. And yes, obviously, necessity is the mother of innovation. So there was a need. People started modifying their vehicles to meet that need. And that's kind of where the whole lifted truck thing stemmed from. But pump the brakes there, Jim Bob. And I know you're saying, yeah, you don't lift the truck, you're gonna take it up in the mud, up in the axle, and dang up the window, coming over the door with a snorkel. Yes, the whole lifted truck thing may have stemmed from that, but clearly in the last 10 plus years, there are multiple reasons to lift your truck. And this might hurt some of your guys' feelings, but they're all okay. And here's why I say that. Let's say you lift your truck because you enjoy going to the mud bogs, right? You're gonna tell me that makes your reason for lifting your truck better than the guy that lifts his truck because he likes to take it to truck shows. Now, if to get from your house to the grocery store was a giant mud bog and the only way to get there was to lift your truck, then that's a necessity. But if you're lifting your truck to put it on a trailer to take it to a hole full of mud to drive your truck through it, that's not a necessity. That's the same exact thing as a guy lifting his truck to put it on a trailer to take it to a show. And I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of hurt feelings when I say that, but it's the truth. And here's one of the funniest things I find about this whole situation, and I can already hear through the computer screen some of you guys yelling at your screen, well, you're just a damn city boy. That's why you think it's okay to lift a 2-wheel drive truck. If you look in my area, now mind you, I'm in a pretty urban area, and there's a lot of lifted trucks here, and they're all 4-wheel drive. Now, I've ventured pretty deep into Instagram from time to time, and I have to say, I've seen a lot more rednecks out in the middle of nowhere lifted 2-wheel drive trucks. So, you know, I know they try and say it's a city and country thing, but from what I've seen in person, that's not true. So now that we've kind of leveled that playing field, the reason people get so butthurt about a truck being lifted that's not 4-wheel drive is because they feel that lifted trucks are meant for off-roading, they're meant for going through the mud, they're meant for, you know, handling terrain that a stock truck just would not make it over. So by eliminating the fact that you're building your truck specifically for that, now, does that start to open up the door a little bit for 2-wheel drive lifted trucks? Hear me out, we're gonna get into this. But before we go any further, let me just clarify one thing for you guys. Any newer truck that I buy that is that's, you know, not going to be used as an old beater work truck that I'm actually going to plan on daily driving, I will buy 4-wheel drive. Number one, you never know when you're going to need it. So to me, it's worth the extra money to make sure you have it in case you need it. And number two, I mean, resale value. Try to resell a 2-wheel drive truck. It's just not easy. So yes, aside from my old work trucks, I do only buy 4-wheel drive trucks. Now, I've definitely been to truck meets or been in the parking lot, and when a lifted truck pulls up, first thing some guy does is he runs and jumps up under there. He's like, oh, I just had to make sure it was 4-wheel drive. And there's this big weird like machismo thing to it that if your truck ain't 4-wheel drive, you ain't a man, you can't roll with us. And it's always funny to me because like that's the one thing that guy knows, right? Is a truck that's lifted should be 4-wheel drive. So he has to go show that, you know, he knows that. But there's a lot of trucks out there that are 4-wheel drive, SEMA's a good example, and they don't even hook up their front drive shaft because they couldn't figure out how to get the angles right, or they ran into some kind of issue. So regardless of 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, I mean, if you got a 4-wheel drive truck, you put some crappy home-built lift kit on it that disables the 4-wheel drive, what's the point? Now, I can definitely understand a few reasons that somebody would want to lift a 2-wheel drive truck. You know, you could have been handing down that old farm truck from your grandpa as 2-wheel drive, but you don't want to get rid of it. You want to keep it around, but you really want a lifted truck. So at that point, you know, you figure you throw a little bit of money into it, you lift it up, and then now you've got grandpa's old truck. It rides at a level you want it to ride at, and it's just a nice truck. I mean, to me, that makes perfect sense. Or, you know, a 2-wheel drive truck was all you could afford. Not everybody has the same budget. Not everybody's willing to spend as much money as the next guy on their truck, and they don't really care about trying to look cool for Instagram or any of that stuff. So to them, this is the truck they could afford. They want to throw a little lift kit on it, and they'll be happy with it. Once again, I can understand that. And one of the main reasons I'm making this video is because I get a lot of messages from a lot of younger guys saying, hey man, I've got this 2-wheel drive truck that was handed down to me. You know, it's my first truck. I would love to throw a little lift on it, but I know the second I drive it to school, my friends are gonna make fun of me. And to that I say, you know what? They're gonna make fun of you for something. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, look at some of the most expensive, nicest put together trucks you've ever seen at a truck meet or a truck show, and they're gonna get made up for something. It doesn't matter what you do. Somebody out there is gonna talk crap. So at that point, knowing that, you should just feel free to jump into whatever you want to do. Because in reality, at the end of the day, it's your truck. You know, there's a lot of trucks out there I would not build the way somebody built them. And to be honest with you, I would not want to be seen driving them. But at the end of the day, beautiful thing about this amazing country we live in is you don't have to. I don't have to drive that truck. I don't have to pay for that truck. I don't own that truck. So therefore, I could care less what that person does to that truck. And the same thing goes for my vehicle. I own my truck, I drive my truck, I pay for everything that gets done to my truck, therefore I'm gonna do it the way I wanna do it regardless of what anybody says. Now, there is one thing that I have to say. If you do own a 2-wheel drive truck, you plan on lifting it and you're gonna go to any kind of truck event or truck meet or whatever it is, just be ready to defend yourself. And I'm not talking violence, I'm not talking any of that, but it's kind of like the Ford, Chevy, Dodge thing. I've seen a lot of people get butthurt in comments when I talk crap about Ford, which is funny because I own a Ford. I've owned multiple Fords, and I guarantee the first guy that cries about me making fun of Fords is the first guy that would call somebody else a snowflake for getting butthurt about something. All right, part of being in this truck game and part of being, you know, going to truck meets and doing that is we can all trash talk each other, you know, we all get sarcastic with each other, but at the end of the day, we all have a good time and we can take it, and don't dish it if you can't take it. So that being said, just be ready. Somebody's gonna mention at some point that you lifted a 2-wheel drive truck. Don't get butthurt. You know, give them the reason you lifted a 2-wheel drive truck and move on. It's really not that big a deal. So you guys are gonna hear this on camera, and I'm sure a lot of you can't believe I'm gonna say it, but it is officially okay to lift a 2-wheel drive truck. Just be ready to sack up like Bruce Jenner and defend your decision though. So now that we've cleared that up, let's see what we got in the package today. I think a little workbench organization is definitely needs to get put in the schedule here. This is looking pretty bad. Alright, I feel a little bit better. We can actually work here now. Alright, let's dive into this bad boy. Oh, nice. So a lot of you guys have asked me about the flags that I fly on my truck. Here is a good representation of that. I don't know if you can see the flag company name on there, but it's from flagsexpress.com. These are all cross-stitched, crazy stitched, whatever. These things are meant to fly in extreme wind, so these are definitely the flags that you want to run on your truck. This package is from my good buddy Matt over at Speed Pole. Set these flags aside right here for a second. As you guys know, I have the copper poles on my truck. And this is going to show you guys how good of a guy Matt is. He had those poles custom powder coated to my copper color. And he realized really quickly that copper color sucks to powder coat. It's just a pain in the butt to do. So by the time you build up so much powder coat to get the color right, his flagpole setups have very tight tolerances for good reason, because everything is machined beautifully. So by the time they built up so much powder coat, the bottom flag mount, my flag just is little, like we're talking like a couple thousandths off of sliding into that because of the thickness of the powder coat. Matt told me, send those flagpoles back. I want to make sure I get those things dialed in perfectly for you so they fit perfectly on your truck, even though they work right now. But he's like, nope, I want those things to work perfectly. So in the meantime, he also went ahead and these things are cool. We'll talk about what these things are in a second. Well, because Matt is always thinking and that guy's brain is turning like crazy, he sent me a set, or he sent me 2 sets here. So he sent me a sweet black set of poles. And he also sent me a sweet white set of poles, and his reasoning being was, hey, sometimes you might want to run a set of white poles. You may want to put your black 24s on the truck, and then you'll have black poles to match. I highly recommend you guys check out Speedpole. He also sent me these sweet little clips here, and what these actually are for, if you guys don't know, I mean, running around in the garage right now is I have one of Matt's killer shop brooms here, and these are actually made to hold broom. This bugger is strong. And he said, hey, you're gonna have so many poles lying around, I don't want them to get damaged, so I'm gonna send you a bunch of these. You can hang the poles on your wall, keep them safe. So, like I said, man, Matt is always thinking, and I really appreciate the level of detail and just the level of thought that he puts into things. So make sure you guys go check out speedpole.com. I'll put the link down in the description. And now that I'm sitting here looking at it, guys, I mean, the golf cart's 2-wheel drive, but I think we should buy a lift kit for this thing, even though it is epically slow. So this golf cart is a 2006 G22. If anybody out there knows a cheap or easy way to make these things faster, I know with like the Easy Goes and all that, you just gotta buy a new little chip for it for a couple $100 and these things haul ass, or you do a couple other little tweaks to them. But as far as I know, these Yamahas, there's not a whole lot you can do. But if you guys can figure out a way for me to make this thing go faster, I will in a heartbeat buy a lift kit, bigger tires, rear seat for this bad boy. Now that being said, we do got a little battery thing going on right there. I don't know, that don't look too good. It looks like some coral reefs growing on that battery, but I think we need to get that bad boy all cleaned up. But you know, I guess that's what happens when they sit on the trickle charger all of its life. And I don't know, but this daylight savings thing is just really killing me, guys. I need daylight. Daylight is essential for what we do for a living. But I guess as the sun sets, guys, it's time to wrap up another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button now. Don't forget to give this video a like, aka a thumbs up, even though I'm sure the second I said it's okay to lift a 2-wheel drive truck, you gave it a thumbs down. But rethink that. Give this video a like. It's not too late. And then after that, take a second, because I'm sure your fingers are tired from the long paragraph that you're writing on how it's not okay to lift a 2-wheel drive truck. But just take a break, give your fingers a little bit of a break. You don't want to get carpal tunnel. And also don't forget to check out workforwardapparel.com, because if there's anything you want in this life, even if it's a 2-wheel drive lifted truck, you gotta be willing to work for it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm out.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah.